trades. I'm locked in right now doing a trade recap. So after my next clip, that'll be the trade recap, and y'all can see how I got that trade from yesterday's London session for the 1K trade and what I used and how I used it and explain. I'm gonna do a series to where I'm explaining everything step by step though. So this is like a little just a trade recap, trade breakdown. But I'm gonna do a series to where I start explaining everything I use and how to use it step by step. I appreciate all the support and stuff I've been getting recently. It's been lit and I appreciate it. But locked in right now, editing, man. I got y'all. Agent session is consolidating. So a hint, right? Before agent session ends, you want to go find your draw liquidity. So right here, we have relative equal lows that I will mark out. These are your equal lows right here. Let's draw liquidity. And we want price to purge this. The sell side right here. Equal lows right here. So to find out how far price gonna manipulate now in London session, you throw in your standard deviation. I'm gonna give y'all the settings. It's like some real deal sauce. So this is the settings for my standard deviations. And to see how far London will manipulate, there's two ways you could do it. You can go and measure the whole session, or you measure it when it's a shift going on. So say if it's in an uptrend like this, we shift down and pull back. You then would go from the most recent high to where we shifted at to see how far we'll distribute down. But that's a conversation for another time. So after we find our liquidity and slap our standard deviation on, you usually want to target your sell side liquidity or the -2 to -2.5 area on your standard deviation. So y'all see I'm in replay mode, obviously. So we're gonna drop down and zoom in. So right here we got a bearish fair value gap after a break of structure or a shift, whichever one you want to identify it as. So for me, this will just be a break of structure. No, it'll be a shift. So we got a market structure shift to the downside that left behind a gap, a fair value gap, and a bearish order block. The last up close candle before the shift down. So if we let price play through, price came and retested it in agent session. Now, if agent session is consolidating as strong as it is, we're going to have a hard manipulation to the downside, right? So I pre-planned the manipulation, basically. I want the price to retest like it did and shoot down to the -2.5, -2 to -2.5 area on the standard deviations, and then distribute back up. Cause y'all do know I trade the PO3. So now that we know our liquidity and where we want price to go, we just looking for an entry now. So we got our shift to the downside, left behind our gap in our order block. We got our retest. So now we enter stop loss at the high of that order block. And then we want to target that sell side liquidity, which is down here. Or you can target the -2.5, the -2 to -2.5 area on a standard deviation, right? Because that's showing you how far the distribution leg gonna go for your London session. So we're gonna let it play through. And you just manage your trade accordingly. A lot of people would have been scared with this pump up right here, but I just knew that was a turtle soup to the upside to retest the gap again at 3 a.m. I'm pretty sure. Yep, around 3 a.m. London open, that's all it was. Sweeping these highs to go back down and continue down to sweep the sell side. So we let it play through some more. And price eventually hit the -2 to -2.5 area But I want y'all to see what happens when we hit that. So we hit it, right? We turtle swooped it. And now look, you caught the low of the day. You caught the low of the day. You could have took one trade and just let this run all day. Even price came back down, but it never touched your stop loss or even came back down to your entry. But who in their right mind is holding this whole thing? This one little move right here is enough right here. And like I said, the way you know how far it's going to distribute up is you go from the low to where we shifted at. Right? And look what happened. We hit this and we start tanking. Standard deviations over agent session and your shifts and your gaps are a cheat code, and that's what I use to know how far my trades will run or how short they will run or what liquidity to target. You know what I'm saying? You want your standard deviations to line up with some type of liquidity, whether it's a previous low, previous high, a PD array, inversions, like, stuff like that. But, oh yeah, also, if agent session is ever trending, so let's say this your agent session, right? And we shift to the downside, and now we just trending for the rest of the session to the downside. Let's box this up. Let's mark this agent session. 9 times out of 10, all London will do is continue off of that and pull back to that 50% mark of your agent session, and then continue down to manipulate, right? So that's where those standard deviations come in play. You mark out your agent session to see how far it's going to drop. And what I just showed y'all, it drops. We get our shift to the upside. And after we get our shift, we put the standard deviations back on that same shift to see how far we distribute up. And we want to catch that distribution leg back up. You know what I'm saying? Catch the low of the day, high today, whichever way it's going. But, yeah, man, that was my real quick trading recap. I wanted these previous day lows to get swept, but we went back and swept buy side previous day highs. So if I get off replay mode, I'm gonna show y'all. We saw previous day highs and shifted to the downside. Like I said, look, the same thing is happening right now. Agent session shifted out, and now we're in the downtrend. Where I drew it out at, agent session shifted to the downside, now we trending. I just want to see us manipulate, pull back to that 50% mark, and continue down and target sell side liquidity. So these lows right here will be good to target for liquidity. We still got what time is it? It's 10:46. We still got 2 hours of price action to let happen before we start making assumptions. But let's just say, hypothetically, I wanted to predict. We swept previous day highs. Boom. I want to see a pullback into some type of gap. So we got our gap created. It could be a gap. It could be an order block. It could be anything. Whichever you prefer, whichever type of PD array you choose to enter off of, that's what it can be. So we got a gap, or order block, or inversion gap, anything. We get a retest around that 50% area, and we continue to sell off to sweep this relative equal lows down here. Right, use that sell side to push up to catch the low of the day. So that's my prediction for tonight. I'm gonna execute, see, and update y'all, and let y'all know what happens, whether I win or lose. Always transparent. I think the first video I did, I lost my first trade, and then the second one I showed the $1,000 win. I've been real consistent lately, real locked in. So, you know what I'm saying? Time to show y'all what's going. And I'm not Hollywood. Y'all can hit me up on Instagram, ask questions. You know what I'm saying? I don't bite, bro. I will help anybody out. I don't care who you are. We all on this journey together. We got to all stick together. But, yeah, man, I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, y'all have a good night.